Familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the next analysis video when it comes to my Dark Souls 3 challenge runs, beating every weapon in the game. This time I'll be reviewing my Cleric's Candlestick run, which I also did a year ago. All the ones that I am doing up until the Carthus Curved Greatsword from a year ago. Last time I recorded the Carthus Curved Greatsword was probably a week ago, but yeah, you know, I do want to say that it is very fun to actually do these videos. It's actually really entertaining for me to go through and review some old footage, get some motivation back to talk to my old friends like Crayon and Default again. It's great to just have this to go back on and look at and have some fun with it. I really do enjoy making these kinds of videos. But yeah, that's all I want to say for now. So, let's get into this. So, I want to start out by just saying, as you saw by the intro, pretty much every enemy in the game is resistant to magic, which is why sorcerer builds are just not really viable in this game. In particular, the actual magic weapon, magic stuff, sucks in Dark Souls 3. It is absolutely terrible, it's horrid. I mean, of course, if you play it good enough, you can still do it, but that's my issue, is that I cannot play with a magic build whatsoever, so this was a very big challenge for me. Actually going through and doing this was terribly difficult. I wanted to, gouge my eyes out multiple moments during this run because of how shit it was. I hated it so much. See, the split damage in Dark Souls 3 is already shit by itself. That's why you got something like the Drake Blood Greatsword, which could be a really good weapon, and it breaks about 900 AR. With all 99 stats, it breaks about 900 AR. Although that split damage brings it down, because the different resistances and stuff just overwhelm it. It's terrible. It's an absolute shit weapon. So, anyway, going back to the magic stuff, most enemies are resistant to magic, and one of the biggest issues for me is that every single boss that I struggled with in the Parrying Dagger run, I had a resistant to magic. So, yeah, it was great. It was great doing this. So, here in front of me I have each boss here, the same way we did it last time. My Estus usage in each fight, my attempts, and the time taken to beat them. So, starting with Eudex Gundyr. Gundyr, this time can't be surprised. He was the first on the list, not Wolnir. Gundyr was pretty easy. I couldn't use the weapon, though, when I was fighting him. I could not use it, which was kind of shit. I think whenever I hit his armor, it did 15 damage two-handed, and whenever I hit the actual black shit that came out of his armor, it did 25, so the damage actually went up whenever I hit him. I had one attempt on him. I beat him in 1 minute and 38 seconds, and I used 0 Estus, so for a weapon that I could not use at the time, it was actually viable. I did pretty good. Also, another thing about this weapon that I don't quite understand is that it has a faith requirement, but it doesn't get any scaling from faith. It gets scaling from intelligence, but it gets jack shit scaling from intelligence. So, FromSoft, what the fucker? What are you thinking? This thing gets scaling from... It doesn't... What? It has a faith requirement, yet it gets no scaling from faith. It gets it from intelligence. Next easiest was the Cursed Rotted Greatwood. I had one attempt on him. It took 2 minutes and 26 seconds to beat him in 2 Estus. So, with the Cursed Rotted Greatwood, again, the challenge was waiting for being able to bust the balls on his tree body. But I think this time, he didn't have a resistance to magic, but I did way less damage going into this. So, using this shit against him was just terrible. It did nothing. It just... Let me tell you, this weapon, and like hitting people with it, is a wet tissue paper. It's terrible. I can't stress you enough how much I despise this run. Next easiest boss was the Deacons. I beat them with their own boss weapon. So, the Deacons, one attempt, 2 minutes and 19 seconds, and 6 Estus. Deacons have a resistance to magic, but it didn't really help them in this fight because, like every other fight that you kill the Deacons is just super easy. I was really expecting them to be a lot harder than what they actually were. I pulled through when I got them. It was surprisingly easy to kill the Deacons. The next boss we have here is the Abyss Watchers. The Abyss Watchers, I took one attempt on them as well. 2 minutes and 23 seconds and 5 minutes to kill them. So I just want to say the Abyss Watchers are really easy no matter what you're doing as well, because backstabbing is a thing. I think actually in this run though, I accidentally killed my red-eyed friend who was going to help me kill them, which was a little funny. It like caught me off guard because I had two of them after me at once, but it wasn't that bad. It was actually very easy still, and I don't regret it at all. That red-eyed menace is gone. Next hardest was the Old Demon King. The Old Demon King, I had one attempt on him, 3 minutes and 40 seconds, 4 Estus. In this run, I actually didn't get hit by his last AoE where he like bursts into flames and he falls over. So he like becomes limp and he can only hit you with his arm and he never comes back up after that. He just sits there for the rest of the fight. And that's whenever you kill him, because you can't really... He can't do anything to you at that point. He literally becomes limp halfway through the fight. Like, what are you supposed to do? It's very wimpy, but he did pose a bigger threat to me than the rest of these guys. The next bosses are where my no death run to these guys goes out the window. So, Wolnir. Wolnir was the next hardest boss for me. And, oh my god, Wolnir? I hate him in this run. I don't think he did not have a resistance to magic, but I struggled with Wolnir in this run because the weapon was shit. Like usually I never get stuck on Wolnir because Wolnir's a fucking pushover. Dude, Wolnir killed me twice in this run. I was killed by Wolnir 2 times by his stupid fog, but on the run that I did kill him, I killed him in 1 minute and 25 seconds, and I used 1 Estus against him. Let me tell you how sad it is to get killed by Wolnir. I cried. Not actually. You know, it's really depressing when something that terrible happens. Like, I genuinely don't know if I will ever be able to pull something like that again. Will I ever get killed by Wolnir in one of these other runs? Probably, because Eudex weapons exist. The next boss that I have on here is Vort. The first time I ever got killed by Vort was during this run. The first time I've ever been killed by that little fucking piggyback bitch was during this run. Dude, this weapon did 16 damage per rolling attack to him. I don't even think it broke 20 damage when I would hit him. This guy doesn't resist magic, but split damage is that shit that it did that little damage to him. I think when I two-handed it, it did 27. This game, Dark Souls 3 has some of the worst weapons, I think, in any Souls game. Dark Souls 2 has a lot of weapons, but guess what? Guess how many of them are viable? A lot, because the game is easy. Now, I want you guys to know, I cannot stress to you enough, this is the first time I've ever been killed by Vort. I don't consider myself a veteran when it comes to Souls games, but I consider myself at least an expert. I was killed by Vort using a straight sword because of split damage. FromSoft, come on, man. Give me better weapons than this. Like, holy shit, dude. The next boss that I have on here is the Dragon Slayer Armor. Now, the Dragon Slayer Armor, as said before in the previous analysis, is that he's easy. He is easy. He's an easy boss. Here, he is still pretty easy. I got killed once by him, but on the second attempt, I killed him. So, I did pretty good against him. He does not have a resistance to magic, thank God. But still, split damage, problem. He might actually be weak to magic, but I'm not really sure. It took me 3 minutes and 46 seconds to kill him, and I used 12 Estus. I had 14 Estus going into this fight. I used 12 of them. I had 2 left. Are you kidding me? I never performed this shit. I did better fighting him with a lightning parrying dagger than I did with this stupid Cleric sword. This weapon, I might as well actually pick up a real candlestick and start hitting enemies with it. The next easiest boss was Yorm. Yorm is a little higher up, like easier than where I put him on the parrying dagger run, and that's just because I learned how to fight Yorm. Yorm's endurance match was no fucking problem for me this time because he's easy. I even used less Estus than I did. Also, a problem is I can't hit Yorm's hand when I'm using the parrying dagger because it doesn't reach, and it would probably get me killed if I tried to hit him with the dagger like that. So, yeah, I just didn't do that. Didn't bother with it. I had 1 attempt on Yorm. It took 12 minutes and 50 seconds, and I used 7 Estus against him. Yorm was really easy this run, and that's just because it has an overhead swing, so you're able to hit him in Yorm doesn't have a resistance to magic. So, yeah, I was just able to wipe the floor with him pretty easily. Now, the next boss actually came as a surprise for me, but I don't know if you want to count this as 2 attempts or not. Aldrich. Aldrich is next. So, as I was saying, I don't know if you want to count this as 2 attempts, but whenever I killed Aldrich, he killed me as well, so it was like us trading hits, but it counted as a victory whenever I killed him, so I didn't have to go back and fight him again. So, like I said, I don't know if you want to count that as 2 separate attempts or not. Up to you, if you really want to do that. Aldrich was pretty easy, actually. Even though he has a resistance to magic, he was, It did take a while to kill him, but again, that's because of his resistance to magic. I don't know how I did so well against him, though. It took me 5 minutes and 8 seconds to beat him, and 12 Estus, and I wrote down 1 attempt, but maybe 2 attempts if you want to count my death. Doesn't really matter. The next easiest for me was Champion Gundyr. Now, Champion Gundyr was actually a little bit of a pushover this time around. Like, I don't know what was with my RNG this time, but going into the fight, I did 68 damage per swing to him. Are you kidding me? That's terrible. But getting the parries, I did a little bit more. I think I had to get like almost 20 parries to just kill Gundyr, or not normal Gundyr, but kill Champion Gundyr. I needed like 20 parries or so, and keep in mind, by this time in the game, I had a +9 +9 clearest Candlestick, because it upgrades with Titanite shards. It has normal weapon upgrading stuff instead of using Titanite scales, which, thank God. If it used Titanite scales, I don't think I would ever complete this run. Let me just tell you that I think that Champion Gundyr was very easy this time, probably because I actually got practice when I was trying to kill him with the parrying dagger. But anyway, I had 3 attempts, so I died twice on him. And it took me 3 minutes and 10 seconds to beat him, and I used 6 Estus, and I'm pretty sure I just parried him throughout the entire thing, because there's no way that I'm going to beat him with 69 damage. Now, this is where I get even more disappointed. The next boss here is Pontiff Sullivan. Dude, remember last video where I said Pontiff was the easiest boss? So he's not here. He has a resistance to magic, so first of all, he's like so much harder. This could have been brought down to 3 attempts so when I was streaming, my internet went out, and I was in online mode. So when my internet went out, it disconnected me after I parried him for the final hit. And if you don't believe me, I'll throw up the little fucking stupid ass sign that says this little boy like rubbing his head going, "Hey, my internet went out." I'll throw that up there, you know. But look, that pissed me off. And then I had 2 other attempts to go in. I could have had it down to 3. The only reason this guy is up here above multiple people is because, first of all, I can't parry him like I can Champion Gundyr. Second of all, he is resistance to magic, so he's automatically harder this time around. Are you kidding me? So 3 things went wrong during his fight, and it's annoying. I am a year later, and I'm still annoyed. This cannot be happening. Pontiff, you son of a bitch. I hate your fight, dude. Please stop being resistant to magic. So Pontiff, I went through. So technically I had 5 attempts against Pontiff, right? I put a question mark there because I don't know. Should we count the next 2 attempts that I had on him? My time that I had to beat him was 3 minutes and 38 seconds, and I used 9 Estus during that attempt. So yeah, Pontiff fucking blows, dude. Honestly. The next boss is Osiris. Guess what? Also resistant to magic. Who would have guessed? The last few bosses on this list are all resistant to magic, huh? Who would have known? Couldn't have guessed. Should have asked me before I recorded this. Whatever. So anyway, Osiris, shitty boss. First of all, this guy, his resistant to magic, I think is the highest, I want to say, in the game, or for bosses, I want to say it's the highest. And he's also the most aggressive one. Maybe. It depends on your RNG, but he sucks too. I'm still really in spite. I hate these guys. I hate these last bosses on here so much that I'm getting mad just talking about them. Osiris, his aggressive attack style, accompanied with my shitty ability to play, accompanied with my shitty fucking sword, was terrible. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. So, Osiris, this is when I made the decision to actually put on armor. I made the decision to put on armor because I was having problems with Osiris. He killed me twice. Thank God, only twice. But I had 3 attempts on him. The time it took to beat him was 4 minutes and 47 seconds. I used 8 Estus. He wasted about 30 minutes of my playtime. All in all, just me fighting him. 30 minutes. Anger. Next boss, the Dancer. This one doesn't have a resistance to magic, but the Dancer's probably going to be pretty far down on most of these lists just because I fight her early. So fighting the Dancer early on with a +5, +6 weapon is not that good of an idea. And considering that the weapon I used is a literal toothpick at +6, it did nothing. It didn't help at all. So fighting the Dancer was pretty terrible as well. Although, compared to Osiris, the Dancer was a little harder because I did die more times fighting her. But this is also the run where I decided to actually get good at the Dancer because I was just like, fuck this, okay? Fuck it. I made a backup of my save file, like off camera, and practiced fighting the Dancer. I beat her twice with the Cleric's Candlestick at +6 or +5, whatever it was at the time. And boy, am I proud of those 2 attempts. And then I beat her again. I beat her 3 times. 3 times in total. I'm God. Literally God. It took me 5 attempts, so I died 4 times in total fighting her. It took me 6 minutes and 19 seconds to beat her and 8 Estus. So, I mean, still a valiant fight, but I mean, at least I didn't do as bad as I did last time. I think I shaved off a single attempt. Next boss is the Soul of Cinder. He's not at number 1 this time. Well, that's just because when you fight someone 31 times and you lose 30 times, do you really think you're going to lose another 30 times to him? The answer is no. So yeah, I got pretty good at the fight because I learned a lot of his moveset, and just because of that, the Soul of Cinder only took me 6 attempts this time, so I died 5 times to him, and it was pretty surprising. He's not resistant to magic though, but he still gave me trouble because he's hard to learn because he has a lot of different moves. So he still gave me trouble this time. It took me 6 minutes and 24 seconds to beat him in 7 Estus. Let's see, the Soul of Cinder, at least he didn't not kill me 30 times this time, because that would be really embarrassing if he did it twice in a row in 2 different runs. Now the second hardest, this is what I don't want to talk about. This is where I don't even know what to say for myself. Now, you can call me crazy, you can call me whatever you want, but the Crystal Sage is the second hardest boss in this entire run. And now you're asking yourself, why the fuck is the Crystal Sage at number 2? So let's have a talk here. So magic resistance, right? A little high, really high. Okay, now let's take it to the next step. I don't upgrade vigor at all because I'm trying to focus on weapon damage early on. Strange. Yeah, I'm listening. Now, let's also say +3 toothpick. Now, let's also say split damage. Oh, now I'm seeing things. So anything the Crystal Sage did would pretty much one-shot me, is what I'm trying to say here. My weapon hit him like toilet paper. Like, just might as well just throw toilet paper at him. Wouldn't even do anything. Just bounce off. His magic resistance was ridiculous. I was hitting him pretty much raw damage, so I was getting like 80 damage. Yeah, he shaved off like a total of 50 my damage, and I couldn't even swing that fast. I could not even swing that fast to beat him. Like the parrying dagger, you know, how it kind of swung a little fast. You remember that? Yeah, I missed those. Yeah, I didn't do that this time. I died 8 times to the Crystal Sage. 8 fucking times to this dumbass twat. It took me 4 minutes and 12 seconds to beat him, and I used 4 S's on the run that I beat him. I hate this boss when you're using only magic damage. When I rely on magic damage, because that's half of my damage, yeah, I'd say that's a big deal. I'd say it's a pretty big deal. And when I don't get that damage, it might be a little bit of a problem. Don't you think? And the last hardest is the Twin Princess. Oh my god, another one who is resistant, but also weak to magic damage? Wow, crazy. So really the problem here is, so let me put this in perspective real quick, because the thing here is that Lorien is weak to magic. So the problem was less with Lorien and more of Lothric. Yeah, the thing with fucking Lorien is just that simple. I beat him. Second stage is where things got a little hefty, because even though it does not say they're resistant to magic, let me assure you that Lothric is a little less weak than Lorien is. And by a little, I mean a lot. Lothric, holy shit. It was stupid. I hate it. Like, it was terrible, because one was weak to it, so it was easy to get Lothric on the ground and beat him. But there was also the problem of fucking Lothric shooting his shit at me and being fucking annoying. But yeah, magic damage was not too much of a problem here, except with Lothric, because as I said, he does have resistance to magic. So split damage is another thing that happened here. That was another problem. Okay, so now that all that's out of the way, I had 9 attempts on the Twin Princess, so the same as the Crucial Sage. Died 8 times. The time here was 7 minutes and 2 seconds to beat him. I used 11 Estus, so I just want to say that I want to compare this to the Parrying Dagger, because I mean, I think that's a very important comparison to make. So if we're looking at this from a logical standpoint, the Parrying Dagger is a better weapon than the Cleric's Candlestick. This is simply because the Cleric's Candlestick relies on that split damage. That's one of the biggest problems with it. The other biggest problem is that every enemy is pretty much resistant to magic damage, so every big enemy is resistant to magic damage, so that's a problem with that. And also because the weapon just swings slower and has a worse moveset. You do not have charged R2s. That does not exist with this weapon. That shoots spells. This weapon is meant to be for sorcerers. And guess what? We were not a sorcerer build, because I'm not about to spec for sorcerer when I can just use it as a weapon. It might have been better, but it wouldn't have been much better. So all in all, this weapon, I think I'm going to give this weapon an F tier on the weapon list, and I'll give the Parrying Dagger a D tier, because that's what I think so far about these weapons that I've used. I mean, you can beat the game with these weapons. You can beat the game with any of the weapons that I will beat the game with. But do you want to? Do you really want to put yourself through all this? You don't. But yeah, so I think that'll do it for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. The next weapon we will be analyzing is the Storm Ruler. The Storm Ruler is next. So, yep. With that being said, I'll see you all next time. Bye.